Eastern Sri Lankan Muslims preserve an absolutely magnificent cultural tapestry. We are diving into a truly fascinating explainer today, exploring an incredible heritage that seamlessly harmonizes timeless indigenous traditions with sacred Islamic principles. Their matrimonial customs reflect generations of preserved ancestral wisdom. So let's unpack exactly how they achieve this beautiful cultural synthesis.
Here's our cultural itinerary for today. We'll start with marriage invitations and house preparations. Then we move to the pandakal and the groom's bath, followed by the kavan registration. After that, we'll cover the groom's procession and the dowry box, and finally wrap up with the tying of the thali and the traditions of the bridal chamber.
Part 1. Marriage invitations and house preparations.
Picture this. Long before printed invitations were even a thing, you had the vata. This is a traditional brass pot containing exactly 7 betel leaves and 7 nuts, all carefully covered in a pristine white cloth. Respected elders and local village women would actually carry this vata to personally invite guests. When a host accepted the betel leaves, it formally signaled their acceptance of the invitation. It is just a deeply tactile, personal way to establish those foundational relationships between households.
Now, this evolution is just brilliant to see. It literally shows us a massive shift in the community's identity. Back in the 1930s, older invitations utilized purely regional Tamil vernacular and phrasing. But as we move into the 1950s, a profound change happens. The invitations become bilingual. They start incorporating global Islamic markers, like Arabic prayers and the Bismillah. You are looking at a visual record of a community embracing its global religious identity, while fiercely maintaining its local linguistic roots.
Once that invite is accepted, well, it is all hands on deck. Entire communities unite in this vibrant, joyous celebration to transform the home. Walls get freshly whitewashed, and yards are meticulously swept with pristine sea sand. Families work together to erect traditional coconut leaf fences known as the Kaliyaanam veli. You'd hear the rhythmic thud of neighboring women collectively pounding parboiled rice to make ceremonial sweets, while the men are out procuring venison, milk, and honey. These grand communal preparations ground us completely in the agricultural lifestyle of Eastern Sri Lanka.
Moving on to Part 2. The pandakal and the groom's bath.
So, right at the threshold of the groom's house, they erect the pandakal. It is this sacred pillar gorgeously adorned with rich fabrics and saris to symbolize incoming prosperity. The planting of this pillar is a classic indigenous custom signaling a new life. But here is where that incredible synthesis comes in, the soundscape. While this highly indigenous pillar is planted, Islamic hymns echo from tall temporary loudspeakers that locals call a kunograph. Local visual customs perfectly meet global audio devotion.
Then comes the morning of the wedding, and the groom goes through this really striking purification bath. His brothers-in-law joyously pour water over him, subsequently wrapping him in a protective white cloth. What is truly fascinating here is how this bathing ritual flows directly into the distinctly indigenous practice of arti. They use turmeric water and lit rice flour wicks and then physically blow them out, specifically to ward off the evil eye. It is an ancient protective blessing performed right alongside Islamic prayers.
Which brings us to Part 3, the kevin, or marriage registration.
To really grasp the religious anchor of this union, we have to talk about the kevin. The word itself actually hints at historical trade routes, deriving from Malay and Arabic origins. This is the official Islamic marriage contract. Seated in a formal assembly, the bride's father, acting as her guardian or a wali, formally offers his daughter, and the groom accepts her with the specified mahar or dowry. This verbal and written registration is the absolute legal and religious foundation of the marriage.
And the groom is dressed absolutely perfectly for this kavan ceremony. He wears this amazing blend of local and global fashion. You have a traditional white shirt and sarong, beautifully layered with an elegant silk shawl and a black coat. But atop his head rests a distinctive Turkish cap, bringing a clear touch of international Islamic identity to his local attire. In this regal state, he sits in the assembly, signs the contract, and often receives a silver ring gifted by the bride's wali as a formal mark of commitment.
Part 4. The groom's procession and the dowry box.
Just imagine this spectacular scene for a second. The groom is walking under a massive black umbrella decorated with white cloth, and the night air is literally ringing with these beautiful Arabic bat songs. Men chant Ya Nabi Salam Alaikum while marching forward. But these global Islamic chants are perfectly harmonized with the highly rhythmic, percussive sounds of local Sri Lankan martial arts like Silambam being performed right in front of him. It is a stunning auditory and visual display.
Right behind the chanting men and the martial artists walks the groom's sister. She carries the korai peti, which is this incredibly ornate traditional wooden dowry box. Tucked away inside rests the bride's spectacular wedding sari, exquisite perfumes, and fine jewels. But here's the fun part. It is not simply handed over. When the procession arrives, the bride's family playfully blocks the transfer until a traditional box money fee is successfully negotiated. It just adds a wonderful layer of joyous social interaction between the households. Now, what happens next is easily one of my favorite parts. When the groom finally reaches the bride's home, his path is deliberately blocked. First, the vanan, the traditional family dobi who actually lays the white cloth for the groom to walk on, stops him until a gift is offered. Then the anavyar, a local poet, halts the whole procession to sing praise poetry. This brilliantly highlights how different social classes are not just present, but are integral, highly respected players in the marital rites. The groom literally has to pay his respects to the community before claiming his bride.
Those evocative words belong to the Katiyam. It is a highly stylized form of Tamil praise poetry sung by the Anavyar right at the bride's doorstep. The poetry praises historical figures, regional kings, and grand achievements. By forcing the groom to stop and listen to these epic local tales, the ceremony roots this Islamic wedding deeply in regional folklore and royal history. It seamlessly connects the couple's new future to the ancient past of the land they stand on.
And finally, Part 5, tying the thali and the bridal chamber.
This is where we witness this breathtaking harmony of traditions coming together in two distinct marital bonds. On one hand, the Islamic kavin provides the strict legal and religious foundation, but on the other hand, you have the tying of the thali. This is a heavy, regional gold necklace, often featuring a crescent motif. It is a deeply Tamil and Kerala-influenced custom that provides the visual, cultural anchor of the marriage. The community mandates both, the unseen legal contract of faith and the highly visible golden symbol of local heritage.
The actual tying of the thali is no incredibly precise and intimate ritual. The couple sits together on a traditional mortar-like seat called the sevarukkal. The bride's father gently places her forelock in the groom's hand. The groom's sister then hands him the gold thali, which he ties around the bride's neck. This incredible sequence culminates in a quiet, beautiful moment of unity where the newly minted couple shares a single glass of milk and water poured carefully by their sisters-in-law.
After a massive feast, the couple retreats to the Manabarai. This is a specially prepared bridal chamber layered with exactly 7 mats and covered in a pristine white cloth. For the next 7 days, the newlyweds reside here. They are treated quite literally like royalty, kept entirely indoors, and fed a rich diet that includes 7 country chickens. It is a dedicated, sacred period for the couple to transition into their new life together, completely insulated from the outside world.
The very next day kicks off a charming culinary tradition known as the pachapati. The bride's family reaches out to the groom's family with a specific question: boiled in water or boiled in oil? Based on that answer, the bride's family prepares and sends over specific traditional sweets. If they request steamed treats, they get delicacies like idiyappam. If they want fried, they receive entirely different, rich, oil-cooked sweets. It is just a fantastic way to keep the families communicating and caring for one another through food. Now, there is also a fascinating little rule during those 7 days in the bridal chamber. If the groom absolutely has to leave the house during that week, local folklore mandates a strict requirement. He must carry a small iron nail or an iron nutcracker with him. Why? To ward off evil spirits. It is yet another incredible nod to ancient indigenous beliefs and protective superstitions, living completely harmoniously alongside their Islamic faith.
So, this entire whirlwind week follows a very precise rhythm. You've got the grand procession on the wedding day, day 2 brings the culinary exchanges of the Pachipati and formal family visits. Finally, on day 7, the week concludes with the Walima. This is a grand Islamic feast hosted by the groom to officially announce the marriage to the wider world. This is immediately followed by a final ceremonial bath known as Thanivrthal on the 7th night, officially cementing their new life together.
As we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with a thought to chew on. How do these deeply harmonious traditions challenge the assumption that global religions simply erase local cultures? When we look at the intricate, incredibly descriptive tapestry of an Eastern Sri Lankan Muslim wedding, doesn't it beautifully prove that faith and local heritage do not have to compete? They can actually elevate one another to create something entirely unique and profoundly beautiful. Take some time to think about what we can all learn from this incredible coexistence.